to the podcast.
I'm James, I'm here with my good friend
Kieran.
and this is episode 4 of the Comparison Podcast.
Woo!
Hotly anticipated episode 4
Wow.
because it's been, hotly anticipated by us because it's been 2 weeks
2
since
weeks.
we've done one. Life just got in the way, eh, Kieran?
Absolutely.
We've been ready to do it. We were ready.
I was raring to go.
It's just life, just work.
Working men.
So, episode 4, what's it about? You tell me.
Well, we've got 2 treats for you tonight. It is, if tonight for us,
Well,
maybe
it's tonight
maybe it's
yeah.
the morning for you guys. I don't know. Maybe it's, who knows,
Or afternoon.
in this cyberspace. What was that? Get that technology off the table.
That was my phone. Let me put it on silent.
So, guys, tonight we have for you Joan of Arc. Do you know anything about Joan of Arc? You're going to learn things about Joan of Arc tonight. And, sorry to spoil the party, Thatcher. Margeret Thatcher.
Why is that spoiling the party, though?
I don't know, or you might find out.
Oh, right. All right. Well, I've got Joan of Arc, which is... This is the first time I'm really having to have no base knowledge of anybody.
And do you know what's really funny?
What?
At the absolute opposite part of the spectrum to that, I'm quite a Thatcher enthusiast. I don't want to use the word Thatcherite.
Right.
Maybe I was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I know Thatcher, and you don't know Joan.
Well, there you go, then. You're taking the lead. You're taking the lead on this one.
Well,
Go for it all.
so should we start?
Get on your soapbox. Yes.
Oh, wait there. No. I'd like the theme of starting with the historic one, didn't I?
Yeah, that's what you wanted to do, yeah.
So, do you want to start?
I'll start,
Go with my theme.
So, Joan of Arc. She lived, she died. She did something.
Thanks for listening to the comparison podcast. Thatcher wins.
If you don't know, Joan of Arc, she was a French revolutionary. She
Interesting.
was born in 1412, so it's the 15th century. So it's a long time ago.
There's a big difference between these people.
A big difference.
Is this gap going to be too big?
Well, let's see. I mean, we did Da Vinci in episode 1, and he was 1400s as well, wasn't he? 1400s? No, he was 400 years ago.
Yeah, no, I think...
No, yeah.
No,
yeah, this is the furthest one back we've done.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Joan of Arc, she was born to a peasant family, which seems to be a theme with a lot of people we do.
It does, doesn't it?
Well, maybe they were just all peasants.
No, but I think it's a common theme between these icons that we're going through is that normally these people that go on to great things, I think every single one of them up to now, Da Vinci.
Yeah.
I don't know about Musk.
Nah, Musk no. I mean, the
No,
historical...
Musk came from a bit of
the
privilege.
historical ones, a lot of
But,
peasants.
you know, Lenin, Da Vinci, Joan.
Yeah. They're all peasant here. Peasanty. So, she was born to a peasant family. There's a lot of... He was born during the 100 Years' War between England and France.
Cool.
Which went on for...
I always get this. 1 second. Is it? Aha. It's a
What?
trick question, isn't it?
No,
It's
it's
in
not. I don't know. It's a trick question.
138 years.
I don't know. I was making a joke.
Actually, I was trying to be a joke as well, but I then genuinely had to go. Is it 138 years?
I don't know. Is it more than 100 years?
How long did the 100 years law?
1337 to 1453. So that is 120 years, isn't it?
That was
There
good.
you go.
Yeah. That was, you know.
So she was born during the 100 Years' War to a peasant family. She packed a lot into her life. She packed a lot.
Did she know?
She kept thinking she was having visions from saints. So Saint Michael apparently appeared to her in, around 1925, 1925.
What was she, 1925? Was she hanging around with old fucking Charlie Chaplin?
1425. A figure she identified as Saint Michael was surrounded by angels and appeared to her in a garden, telling her that she was the one prophesied. She was the virgin prophesied.
Here we go. Egomaniac.
Well, yeah.
Boo, boo, boo. Alarm bells.
I want to get into this later with you because there's a lot I've read about her. I think, is she... I mean, obviously, with your career background...
Obviously, your career being an absolute egomaniac.
No. There's a lot of delusions there, surely. Okay. But is there delusions? Cause
talking about me or her?
No, I'm talking about... I'm talking myself into a hole. So she thought she saw St. Michael. And she wanted the saint to take her with her, apparently.
Okay.
But there was a prophecy in France that there was a virgin that would lead the French to glory against the English.
Mm.
And she was supposedly that virgin. So she was a devout Roman Catholic.
Okay.
She had lots of bits and bobs going on in her life. She was once accused of failing to marry someone after a promise, which got thrown out of court because she was never intimate with the person.
So in, what are we talking about, 15th century France?
Yeah.
That could be deemed a crime.
Well, apparently, yeah, if you don't...
Imagine if we was living by them standards today.
If you don't go through the promise.
I promise, you did say you was going to marry me.
Yeah.
I did. I'm going to take you to court if you don't.
You know, after those few beers that we said we was going to go to that party.
What a horrible way to start a relationship. It's probably going to be a bit toxic from that point.
Yeah.
Remember, you did promise. I will take you to court, darling.
So she was having all these visions, and in 1428, so she was 16 years old at this point. I've sort of skimmed over her early life because there's not a great deal on it.
Yeah.
She was just a peasant. She had a few visions and stuff. But to be honest, there's not much of her life
Even documented.
Well, there's quite...
Yeah, who's documenting some 15th century peasant girl?
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah, there's probably nothing there to be researched, is there?
She's one of the most researched people because she had 2 trials when during the end of her life, which we're going to obviously get onto later.
Mm.
She's one of the most well-known people from that time period because she had 2 trials in court, loads of documents, loads of witnesses. Wow. But her early life is basically war-laden. It's peasantry.
Really?
It's refugee states moving around, having these visions. She said she'd had these visions. So in 1428, she was 16 years old, and she actually went to see Charles, who was the would-be king of France at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was apparently the legitimate king, but he'd not been crowned because of the ongoing war.
Okay.
And they had to go... It was all a bit strange, and it's, again, with all this sort of coronation stuff, it's got to be done in the right manner. So they're trying to get to a place... I forget the name. There he is. Reims. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Reims, yeah.
Reims.
Okay.
And basically, if the king wasn't coronated there, he wasn't legitimate.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
It was
just the way it was. So basically, they're trying to get Charles there.
Mm-hmm.
Charles had a private meeting with Joan. So he's 16. She's 16 years old at the time. He wasn't much older. He was 24, 25, 26, that sort of age range.
And she secured this meeting just by saying, look, I've had these visions.
No, she went through a bit of a process of going and seeing certain guards and working up the military ranks, basically trying to convince them that she's...
16 years old, she's doing this?
Well, it started even younger than that, sort of 13 years old. She's trying to convince these... military personnel.
Wait, I mean, I'm trying to work out like how this happens. Like, is she seen as some sort of mystic at this time? Like, it's like that people are just listening to. I don't really understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a different time.
This is where I like to explore this.
Yeah,
looking at the past versus the future.
Yeah.
Now, if a 13-year-old boy or girl, whatever it is, came to you now and said, "I'm seeing these things.
Yeah,
I want to lead the French army against the English." You'd be a bit, okay. I mean, even at 16.
Do you think there's an element of like, well, no one else knows what they're fucking doing, but she seems to have an idea at least. At least she's got a bit of drive about her.
Well, I think it was this whole prophecy of there's going to be this virgin who is going to lead France to glory.
Yeah.
And again,
she's the chosen one. She's the one.
This is the thing, yeah.
The Neo.
There's loads and loads and loads of detail, obviously, about how it all happened and what went on. I'm not going to go into it now because it's quite long and there's a lot of names that I don't know. But generally speaking, she's worked her way up.
Remember, this is not a history podcast.
Yeah,
this is the comparison podcast.
Yeah, we're looking at a specific figure.
Well, we're never completely wrong and we're never completely right.
We just talk shite.
Yes. That's got to be the logo,
that should be the tagline.
Slogan.
Yeah, slogan, that's the word.
That is done.
So she's worked her way up from sort of 13-ish. speaking to different people, saying she had these visions. Obviously, there's this whole belief system in play here with the authority figures that they believe in this prophecy of this virgin who's going to restore France to its glory, and she is said virgin, so she's kind of worked her way up. And eventually she had this meeting with Charles, who would, spoiler alert, would go on to be the king. Private meeting, and she's convinced him at that point that she's
the real deal.
She's the real deal. So she's 16 years old. I mean,
because they've all had these ideas. I'm sorry, I'm not taking over your thing, but yeah. Can you imagine that you've got this prophecy, this idea, and then it's there. It's happening right before our eyes. Here she is.
Oh, there's probably somebody who's done this before, who's done a deep dive into this kind of mentality of maybe he was just so desperate, he's looking, and what's the word? Projecting. Mm-hmm. He's projecting on a certain person.
Absolutely.
She's got. I mean, we'll get into it in a bit later.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't wrong. So she's up to sort of 16 years old now. A bit of a turning point. She met Charles and convinced him that she's the real deal. Let's hear a little bit about Thatcher now, because I've talked for a good few minutes.
Okay. So Margaret Thatcher, or what we know as Maggie Thatcher.
Maggie, the Iron Lady, if I'm not mistaken.
Whoa, getting ahead of yourself. Let me, it's my turn now. Maggie Thatcher, a very divisive figure. What I find funny about her is that you can mention her name and people will say the most awful things that only she can bring this sort of this visceral hate from. Like, people. If you bring Margaret Thatcher's name up in certain parts of the country, it's literally okay to be like, "What?" Do you know what I mean? Like, which I find crazy. For some reason, it's okay to say horrible things about her.
I mean, obviously, we're located pretty close to Yorkshire. I think she's pretty hated there, isn't she?
She's hated in a lot of parts of the country. Very divisive. I don't know if you know, guys, anyone listening, we are in Lincolnshire, and she was born in our great county of Lincolnshire. One of actually two people that was probably famous from this county. Margaret, and I think two of the greatest Britons ever.
Okay.
Well, two of the most famous, Thatcher and Newton.
Yes. Yeah.
Both from Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
Hasn't done much since.
I don't know. We had someone on X Factor a few years ago,
didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, that girl.
Oh yeah, it was that girl. She's quite famous. She's from Lincoln, isn't she? And then there's
from
one
Lincoln. She's from Lincolnshire.
There's one from Scunthorpe as well.
Was there?
Didn't know that.
Anyway, she was born to a greengrocer. She lived in a shop basically. The first major woman to lead a Western democracy. She rooted out socialism, fully embraced free market economics.
I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the free market model
it works.
Well, it works to a certain degree. I mean, we've touched on this in other podcasts. It works to a point, and I think we're actually getting towards the point where it's not working anymore. But that's a whole other thing.
It's getting a bit messy now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's, can you have too much of a good thing?
Well, I don't know. Have a couple more beers and we'll find out.
That's a great metaphor. So, I just want to say, I've read a couple of books on her, and from what I've read, Margaret Thatcher, what makes it different to everybody else is she has this inability to ever say she's wrong. She knows what her convictions are and she sticks by them 100%. And if she seemed to come to this decision in her life, like, this is what I believe and this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep saying it, and if anyone disagrees with me, that's absolutely fine. You can disagree with me, but I'm going to keep thinking this. You're allowed to disagree with me, and I will stay in office until I am worthy of staying in office. And this is probably the famous phrase, "The lady is not for turning."
Yes, of course.
And she lived by that life, like that motion. And I do admire it. She knew what she believed, and she was sticking by it.
Yeah.
Potentially there is errors in that kind of way, but she thought, I think she maybe had the foresight to think to herself, well, if people don't believe in what I'm doing, then they can always vote me out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but only after a certain period. You still. This is what I kind of find a bit funny about democracy in air quotes. Is really any true democracy, because they're kind of a dictator for 4 years. You know, because they've been voted in. Obviously, they need time to do whatever they got to do, but you kind of stuck with them regardless. Well, I mean, they will obviously move if they're voted out, but well, saying that, we had Liz Truss.
Well, you say that, but
Liz Truss, who was, 40 days?
Are they a dictator? Because most decisions, so when a Prime Minister comes to the British Parliament, most major decisions, they will normally take it to a vote in Parliament. They'll normally bring the other parties in. You know, I think Cameron did it on the Syrian war when should we take military action? The Parliament voted against it. But then at other times, this is the thing. This is how the Constitution is very clear in Britain. Is I think Tony Blair just decided, no, we're going to a war with Iraq.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It depends on that Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister can act in a dictatorial way if he wants to, or she. Yeah. But potentially a better Prime Minister does open up to votes.
Yeah, but then that's when you get the whole thing of having the whip, don't you? So
yeah.
The Prime Minister, or it be Blair or a Conservative or whoever, says, this is what I want to do, and the whip says you're going to do it.
Well, that's what I find very strange, isn't it? Like,
if you go against the whip, you're sacked.
Yeah, how bizarre is that?
Yeah, there's quite dictatorish, isn't it?
Yeah. But
there is
then
no,
you've got to question yourself.
British constitution, though.
No, there isn't.
No.
But you've got to question yourself. So if I'm a member of Parliament...
Yeah.
And I disagree with what my party is saying. Yeah. On a major vote. Yeah. Should I be a member of that party? If I'm going against what their attitude is on a.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course you should.
Well, if you oppose the principles of your party on a certain vote, and you maybe believe something else, then you're not aligned to that party, and then maybe you shouldn't be a part of that party.
No, I would completely disagree with that. I mean, you look at the likes of HS2, right? So you've got this high-speed network rail, whatever it's bloody going to be. So yeah, HS2 is obviously going, or supposed to be going, stop now, right through the country, London to Manchester. Now you've got obviously MPs along that route there. So one MP in London might think, this is bloody great, I can get to Manchester 15 minutes quicker than I usually can. Mm-hmm. Whereas you're going to have a rural MP a bit further up who would say, well, no, I don't want this is ridiculous. A lot of my constituents don't even go to London, why would they care about getting there 15 minutes quicker? Yeah. So when it goes to a vote, you've got, they might be aligned on the core principles of the party, but on the specific issue, what they're voting on, that they're completely polar opposite. An MP in rural England will not feel the same as an MP in London.
Okay, I get your point, but it cannot work like that. You have to, because if it didn't work like that, party politics would fall to pieces, and any party that did have a whip, as we say, would always win the votes, wouldn't they? If we had a party that was just completely disorganised and wasn't voting all in the same direction, party politics would collapse, or all it would take is for one party to say, when we vote, we all vote in the same principle.
Yeah, well, that's what the whip is, isn't it? It's saying, regardless of what you think, do that. But that's why they call them rebels. They literally say rebels. Yeah. They're going against the whip, and they get sacked quite frequently.
And I think what this whole debate, what we're talking about, is some of the issues with democracy. Yeah. Yeah, that's where it all stems from, isn't it? We're talking about some of the problems, and this is one of the problems. I think your first point was, how much of it is a dictatorship? Like, you know, what is true democracy?
It's really strange, isn't it?
And the thing is, we could go even further, like, you know, how do people vote? It's about the information that gets out. Who controls the information that gets out? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, this is the thing, and I can't. There's another podcast.
Is democracy an illusion? Is it an illusion?
Actually, I told you to listen to. I won't mention it here because of maybe copyright issues. But is that one I told you to listen to, where there used to be crisis people in the monarchy and the Sun newspaper, I think it was, and he was saying, there's a massive board up in Downing Street that literally has all the bad news that they're going to drop, and they plan when they're going to do it, and they put like a good news one next to it. Yeah, they're like, well, let's do that one and release that at the same time.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's the media and the media and politics is so interwoven. It's incredible. For example, I don't want to get too deep or anything like that, but like, everything that's going off with Israel and Palestine at the moment, should I say Hamas? Have you seen Rishi Sunak say anything yet? It's always the foreign secretary saying, and I think that's a political decision that they don't want to have Rishi Sunak, the leader, to get involved because they don't want to displease people of the, of Hamas leanings or left leanings. And I think that's all political. The Prime Minister of Britain, I could be completely wrong, but I haven't seen him mention one word on the news about it. And I think that's political. We'll keep the Prime Minister out of it.
Yeah.
Because we don't...
Foreign Minister will do it, yeah.
Foreign Minister, you can take the slack if it goes wrong.
I mean, that's pretty standard stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's all pretty standard, isn't it? Maybe continue with Thatcher.
Let's get back to the river. We've gone down the stream. Let's get back to the river.
Did you enjoy that stream?
We know at least one listener likes the streams. So
we do. I wish we had a name. We could give him a shout out.
We'll give him a shout out at the end. We'll do the review shout out at the end. We've only got one to do.
And someone's listening.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I might not be listening to this one, but he listened to one.
I probably turned off after the first 2 minutes. Fucking Thatcher and bloody Joan.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit... We're going to try and bring our whole light-hearted approach to it, but this is a bit more heavy than...
It's going to be,
than our other ones, for sure.
It's going to be, because we just said that we were discussing... In the previous ones, we've discussed comedians, musicians. It's going to be a bit... We're talking about one of the most divisive figures in political British history. So it's going to get a bit heavy at times. So we do apologise. We'll try to take you on a stream.
We'll bring our usual comedic tone to it.
I just want to say one thing here. So I've read... I can't remember if it was... It wasn't Margaret Thatcher's autobiography. It was a biography about her.
Yeah.
And in the front of the book was one of my favourite quotes I've ever heard in my life. And I still think about it to this day, and I think it's one of the best bits of advice I've had. I'm not sure if I said this on a previous podcast. I
think it might have been in the little after hours we did, which I didn't actually release onto audio platforms yet.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say it now.
It was only on YouTube.
Listen to this, guys. It doesn't matter which way the wind blows. It's which way the sails are set that determines where this ship goes. I might not even go any further than that. I'll just let you ponder about that.
Just let it sit there.
Let it sit there. Listen to it back. Think about it. Anyway, I'm done with Margaret Thatcher now. I've done a little overview. I said what she was, what she's been...
What she's doing.
Let's go back to Joan.
So, where we left her off, she was... she'd convinced Charles to let her kick on and let her sort stuff out. So she's dressing... I mean, this is very sort of 21st century. She was dressing as a man, which would, spoiler alert, get into trouble later, which is quite surprising.
A bit like Mulan.
Yeah, I suppose a bit like Mulan, actually, yeah. That's a deep cut. I like that. That's a deep cut.
I fucking love Mulan.
I ain't seen that for a long time.
Oh, mate, the song, let's get down to business. Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side
Can I sing it? Can I sing it now?
Yeah, go for it.
If you know it, guys.
Sing
Let's
along.
get down to business to defeat the Huns. I'll make a man out of you.
There you go.
I think it was sung by Jackie Chan. No, it wasn't sung by Jackie Chan. Was it? I don't know.
So, yeah, was it sung by Jackie Chan?
Jackie Chan's got something to do with it. I'm sure he has. I don't think it was sung by Jackie Chan.
We're going to have to do a Disney episode of Walt Disney versus somebody else.
Oh, yeah, man.
Who would that be? Anyway, that's
or compare two Disney movies.
Yeah,
Battle of the two movies.
Yeah, you could, because they've got a lot of classic movies as well, like classic movies, and then a lot of the newer stuff. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, we'll put a pin in that. So she's convinced Charles to let her crack on. She's about 17 at this point, so it's taken her obviously a bit of time to get into the court or whatever you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
So then she goes to the siege of Orleans. I think that's a bit French.
Anyone who's French out there, how good was his pronunciation? I always say pronunciation.
Je suis orange.
Oh.
That's all I can remember from French lessons at school. So that's Orlean.
I remember speaking to a French girl at university, and I always said to her that, in English, in England, it's like sexy, the French accent, and she was like, yes, your English accent is sexy in us. I was like, what? blew my brain. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? It's the equivalent. Do you know what I mean? They think our accent's sexy.
I suppose it would be, yeah.
All the French people out there listening thinking, what the fuck's he talking about?
So she's gone to, as part of the relief army, to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she goes to the siege of Orleans. And then she and she's broken it. She's sorted it out.
What?
She's got past the English, so she's led the relief army.
How old is she?
17 at this point.
17-year-old girl.
17.
No offence, women.
No. I mean,
she's 17-year-old girl.
17-year-old anyone.
Exactly. Has gone forward and she's broken a siege.
Yeah. So she's very political at this point in terms of she's so devout to the fact that England shouldn't be ruling France. They shouldn't be in this whole battle. So that's what the 100 Years' War was. Very, very broad.
Is it Britain? It's Britain invading like northern France, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just basically saying this is England.
Crazy idea.
You know, it is. Yeah, I
really?
mean, it was.
They don't even speak English. They don't even look English. You can't just put your English flag on it.
They pronounce orange. But no, that's what it was. So she's relieving of that, and they've marched on. They've gone forward, and they've actually managed to crown Charles. So she was a big part of that because she was able to.
So she took back the place that Charles needed to be to get crowned.
No, so Orleans, whatever it is, was on the way to Reims. So she's done Orleans, and she's gone through the Lure campaign, and she had another victory at Patay. I mean, these names are completely bashed. I'm so wrong on the pronunciation.
You're butchering French history, aren't you?
Yeah, massively. But basically, she's one after the other. She smashed her way through, and they've managed to get to Reims unopposed, and he was crowned King of France with Joan at his side.
What? That's crazy, man.
So at 17, 18 sort of years old, she's taken on the English with basically to say this is the king.
What's she doing? Okay. What is she doing at this point? Is she just providing inspiration and galvanization to bring them the support and energy, and they're like, yes, actually, we believe what this lady is saying. Is that what she's doing?
Yeah.
Is that her input?
Well, yeah, she's a bit of a figurehead.
Figurehead, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose a figurehead.
No, I understand that.
And a focal point is
point. Because before, all the energies were probably a bit dilute. That's what we're doing now. But this woman's come forward and she's like, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing.
Well, yeah, she's the prophesized virgin coming through to...
Unity.
Yeah.
And that's nothing more powerful than that when there's unity.
No, I mean...
People all get together and come together for a common cause.
This is what
anything can be done.
This is what war is about with the men. And
that's why fascism's so beautiful. Sorry, what? I mean... I mean...
No,
joking.
It really is. I mean, one of my favourite... This is a stream. Mm-hmm. One of my favourite TV shows is Blackadder, and Blackadder goes forth.
Yeah.
When it's World War One, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And they run it through, and there's stuff there about getting the morale of the boys up, and you can really tell. And I think they capture it really well, where Edmund Blackadder just really does not want to go over the top.
Yeah.
And it's sort of galvanising that all up, and it's what's Hugh Laurie's character called?
What is he called?
I forget his name.
I'm not a big Blackadder expert.
I forget his name.
Has he got like a funny name, like Love or something? Like
no, that's Tim McKinney's character. He's called Darling,
which
is some of the best comedic writing. It's like, come here, darling. He's talking to me, sir. And Stephen Fry does a speech, and he's like, darling, I want to hold you. He's like, I'm so sorry, sir. Like, what are you talking about, darling? Because he's like practicing a speech. So funny. Anyway.
Can I just say one thing about Blackadder? When I watched it, I was crying with laughter.
Yeah.
His character, Rick Mayall's character in it.
Oh, yeah. Lord Flashheart.
Yeah. Okay.
I
was pissing myself.
So good. It's so good.
This most perfect guy.
He's brilliant.
Hilarious.
Well, I think that captures it quite well in war. Obviously, that's World War One. It's not the 100 Years' War. But
did you ever watch the first series of Blackadder?
Yeah, I think I've watched it once or twice.
Odd.
Yeah,
it's a bit strange how they released that first series and then they completely changed it.
Yeah. It's not for me. I prefer it with the later ones for sure.
It completely goes against the other ones.
Yeah,
he's like stupid in it or something.
While
he becomes a smart character. Sorry.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's the stream. Let's go back to the river. So, he's been crowned. Charles is now the king of France. So, Joan's had a pretty good run up to here. She's won a few battles. Well, the army's won a few battles. She's gone on. it all goes a bit downhill for her. Spoiler alert.
Does it now?
Yes, she has some unsuccessful sieges. So she's the siege of France. Siege of France.
Lie. I thought Joan of Arc was like some sort of mystical, like maybe like myth before I even knew. But she's actually a bona fide.
Yeah, so she's a patron. She's a patron saint. She's a patron saint, which is almost, you imagine, a mystical figure, but because she's a historical figure, she was real, but she's just so mythicized. I can't say it. Mythicized.
Yeah.
That she is a saint. She's a patron saint. But she was so devout to the Roman Catholic Church, and this is what's coming later on. Which had an unsuccessful siege in Paris, and another one in November of the siege of. Oh God, why am I doing this? The siege of. I can say Paris.
I'll tell you what, he's picked a great. We've got him a great person of history to divulge into now.
No more foreign languages, please. Right, the siege of.
He's absolutely loving Joan of Arc, isn't he?
La Charite. I sounded like Borat. La Charite in November. So then her stock in the court actually started going down, which is kind of mind-boggling. It shows how fickle these sort of things are.
Yeah.
Which has gone from leading and getting the king crowned to having a couple of failed sieges, and all of a sudden everyone's going, You ain't this virgin we were waiting for anymore. I mean, maybe she wasn't anymore. That's what the problem was.
I bet she got some good.
So, yeah, she's started to downturn, which...
Fickle.
She's still extremely young at this point. She's still 18.
I fucking got the crown. I got the king crown, for fuck's sake. Literally a few months back, you bastards.
What more do you want from me? So, yeah, she's starting a downturn at this point, which I think is a good place to swap back to Thatcher.
Yeah, so Margaret Thatcher. She was raised in an apartment above a shop by a family called the Roberts family. She did well at school. She earned a place at Oxford to study chemistry, but after not too long, she turned to politics. And it was conservative politics that she turned to, as it was in the family. Her dad was a councillor, and political discussions were commonplace around the dinner table when she was growing up and stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine so. If you got a dad into it, it's going to be growing on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, sitting around the table, your dad's... I don't know about you. I mean, you sort of idolize your parents a little bit, don't you? Like, I know, I growing up, I always thought my dad's music taste was absolutely fantastic. I still do, actually. But, like, I sometimes wonder the fact that I love Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd... classic British rock bands, do you know what I mean? Like, I sometimes think though, what if, how much of our personality and character just comes from what we grew up around? Because, I think that because my dad thought it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nature versus nurture argument, isn't
it? Absolutely, yeah. Anyway, let me just finish about Margaret Thatcher. I was getting down a stream there, down Pink Floyd. We could go on a Pink Floyd stream for ages.
We quickly turned back from the stream.
You like Floyd, don't you?
Yeah, I do like Pink Floyd, yeah.
You had the Dark Side of the Moon album, didn't you?
No, I had The Wall. I had The Wall.
Oh, was it The Wall?
Yeah. That's one of the great... I quite like a full album and a conceptual album.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely wonderful about Pink Floyd. Like, to sit down and listen to a Pink Floyd album is an experience.
Do you know he did a gig in Pompeii?
Yeah.
I was in Pompeii a couple of months back. And I never even knew about it, and I started walking.
Was it Echoes?
I'm not sure. I can't remember what it was. But they've got a big exhibition underneath one of the Colosseums, and it's like walking through it. But it was a long time ago they did the gig there. It's crazy. Anyway, back on the river.
Oh, mate, I could just swim down that stream for a long time. So I'm going to get back onto the river. So in 1946... she was elected president of the Conservative Club of Oxford University. So that's massive, isn't it? Like, she's at Oxford University. Yeah. She's come from quite humble beginnings, really.
Yeah.
From a greengrocer's in Grantham. I think it's a greengrocer. She lived in a shop anyway in Grantham. Do you know what I mean? And just through her academic abilities, she'd got to Oxford, and while she was there, she became elected the president of the Conservative club. In her mid-20s, she ran for MP in the 1950s election, and she got national publicity for it as being the youngest candidate at the time. I'm not sure what her age was there.
So she's mid-20s, you said, didn't you?
I think she might have been in her mid-20s, yeah. Maybe even a bit younger, but yeah. And she's going for MP. So it's set from the start, innit?
She wanted it from the get-go.
She wanted it from the get-go.
You know what gets me now? What gets me... Oh God, there's just so many streams already. What gets me now is you have career politicians, which I kind of disagree with.
Can you describe a career politician to me?
So it's someone who, from an early age, and I'm not saying it's about Thatcher, I think maybe from what you said, she was genuinely interested in politics.
I think she's the real deal.
She wanted to change. But you generally get these people now who go, well, there's a course, isn't there, at Oxford, Cambridge? There's a course.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Is it? What is the course called? I can't remember, but it's basically they go in and they learn on this course how to be a politician, and that's their. It's
bollocks, isn't it? I know what you're saying.
That's their career path to get the pension. It's like what they do.
It's like me going to a job. It's like going to a job. Do you go into a job that you go in there to get the paycheck, and that is it.
Yeah.
And there's no actual. If you're a representative of your constituency that are representing hundreds of thousands of people in the House of Parliament that are relying on you to put forward their points of view in our democracy, then it should be in the bottom of your heart.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you're saying. So a career politician is not that.
No.
They've gone to university. They've got the A stars, and they're just doing it, and they're picking up the paycheck.
Yeah, they just do this course. They think, I'll be a politician. I'll get sacked. I'll get a pension. Easy as that.
Fucking
which I don't really like. I mean,
I hate it.
There's a few that aren't like that now, which is fine. But you can see it quite a long way down the line. It's getting really towards.
Surely they should be getting found out very fast.
Well, no, because they're pretty good at their job.
But this is a difficult thing. So, if say in our constituency,
yeah,
we knew the guy that we wanted, the party that we wanted to vote for, but the guy was or lady was a career politician.
Yeah.
What do? Do you vote for the party that against them because you don't want to vote for the career politician, but then you're voting against your beliefs?
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? So you sort of just got to do it.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, as well, I kind of disagree with the fact that all these people. I mean, someone. I was talking to someone the other day, and they sort of brought this up to me, which was a really good idea. Actually, is these people that are ministers of certain things that have zero experience in that thing. Health minister, for example.
Yeah.
And you go, shouldn't this be someone with working knowledge of the NHS?
Yeah.
Or the schools minister, shouldn't this be someone who has working knowledge of how schools run, what schools are expecting? But no, they just stick any Tom, Dick or Harry in the job.
It's a very funny game, politics, isn't it? Because sometimes, when they just try to form a new government, these people get these same sort of strong figureheads get tossed around certain ministerial positions.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can't, like you just said there, like someone who's right at the top of the game, should they not have 20 years experience in that domain?
You would expect so.
But no.
Back to the river, Kieran.
Let's go back to Margaret Thatcher. She enjoyed campaigning and met her husband, Dennis Thatcher, and they had twins in 1953.
It's funny that they've got the same surname.
And she took his name. It was the Roberts family, wasn't it?
What's that?
Her name before, I think it was Roberts.
Oh, okay. No, I was just joking. I was just joshing with you.
You were joking on the Comparison podcast.
Yeah, I know, right? Check me out.
This is a very serious podcast where we talk about Joan of Arc and Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
Right. In 1959, she won her first seat in Finchley. Did I say 39? 1959.
1959.
And she occupied the seat for 30 years.
I mean, that's mental, isn't it?
So basically the whole time that she was in government.
Yeah. She was always on that seat.
Absolutely. And in 1960, she made her maiden speech, and the next day she made her first TV interview.
Wow.
So
she's straight into it.
With Margaret Thatcher, she's in Parliament now. She's got recognition throughout the country.
Yeah.
She had recognition before, didn't she? Like I said, from being the youngest candidate in a to go for Parliament.
She's really gone on and she's kicked on.
Yeah, so she's making a bit of a name for herself. Like I said, she's this young, strong female who's going forth.
Absolutely. Kicking on.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot more we know about Thatcher than we do about Joan of Arc, but let's kick back to her for a little bit.
Old Joni.
Old Joan. I mean, we keep talking about Thatcher being so young with this, and she's really kicking on. Joan of Arc actually died when she was 19. So everything I'm talking about now, she achieved within 19 years of being on this planet.
Right, just one sec. How long are we into the podcast right now?
We are 40 minutes into the podcast.
Can we make any comparisons between Margaret Thatcher and Joan of Arc?
Well, yeah. Thatcher thinks she did loads by a good age.
Okay.
But it turns out Joan of Arc pissed it all by the time she was 19. It's like, fucking done, mate. So Thatcher thinks she's kicking on, but Joan of Arc's the real killer.
Thatcher's just getting started, but Joan of Arc's like, she's done it.
Yeah. We'll probably get into it, and this is maybe where we've mismatched it a little bit, but for those who are first-time listeners, we kind of play it by ear. We have no real set schedule. But Joan of Arc's had a lot of influence here on military leaders, political leaders at the time, and a lot of influence on the king. She's the chosen one as such.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got massive influence, which is quite strange for a woman in the 15th century to have, let's face it, any influence. So I think if we're trying to make a little comparison at the beginning here is, well, not the beginning, we're like halfway through, but
well, we can
both got massive influence on male figures. For
we
sure.
we can definitely compare and connect that they're both trailblazers for women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like ahead of the times. Margaret Thatcher, I think, is absolutely incredible in the fact that we often deem the female part of our society to be weaker, don't we? Yeah. That's a stereotype, and it's completely wrong. When Margaret Thatcher, I think there's a famous, she was like the only politician around that time with balls.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you watch some of her speeches. She was so strong and conviction. Do you know what I love about Margaret Thatcher?
What's that?
Is that I think politicians these days, they don't fucking say anything.
No.
They don't say anything.
No,
they know. So what they do, they try to find the middle ground, and they say nothing. Margaret Thatcher was the complete opposite, and this was only 30 years ago.
Yeah.
She said exactly what she thought. And I think this is why we're going backwards politically, is that we used to have politicians who would say what they think.
Yeah.
And if the society disagreed with them, they would take it that they'd get the boot. But now we've got these career politicians who do not want to lose their jobs, and what they'll do, they'll say nothing, and they'll stand in the middle and they'll say all this PC crap that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, they're flip-flopping
because they want to keep taking that decent paycheck at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And this is why nothing's getting done, nothing's getting said.
No, they're flip-flopping all over the place.
That's why I kind of admire Donald Trump a little bit in this because he actually says things and he's got convictions. I can see similarities.
Yeah.
And it's like and Donald Trump's philosophy, a bit like Margaret Thatcher's. Well, this is a strange comparison, but they both go.
Listening.
They both say what they think.
Yeah.
And they say it with full-heartedly.
Yeah.
And again, Margaret Thatcher, Donald Trump, very divisive figures because they say what they think and they will take the consequences. But 95% of politicians these days do not say jack shit. They just take the paycheck at the end. And they don't want to say jack shit because they don't want to lose a seat.
Very true. So, Joan of Arc. Now, she's gone on. She's losing a lot of faith now. People are losing a lot of faith in her because she's lost a couple of these sieges and stuff. And basically no one's pretty happy with her at this point.
Really?
But again, she's only 18 years old. I mean, what do these guys expect? She's led the French Revolution. Not the French Revolution,
She's got a lot on her shoulders, hasn't she?
She's led the French during the 100 Years' War. She's got Charles coronated in Reims as he should be.
Yeah.
But they're just, no, we want some more.
Very fickle in these times, aren't they?
So it rolls around 1430. She gets captured.
Oh.
And again, I'm going to butcher this. But I don't know why. It's again. Burgundians, which were French allies of the English. So they were French people.
But they was on the English side.
They're on the English side,
Who are these guys?
Well, I mean, it's with any war
these
you get.
turncoats.
Yeah, exactly. With all this sort of thing, you get sympathisers, don't you? So they were just French allies of the English. I mean, there's a whole other thing about the 100 Years' War that I haven't read, but there's something about it. There'll be some reason these guys are with the English.
I was going to say, are they Protestants? But no, it's before that, isn't it?
Yeah, massively before that. Yeah.
Massively before that.
So she's got... So she's been captured in 1430. I keep saying 19. I'm just so used to saying 19. It's because I normally do the modern people.
Going back to 1400s, though, it's quite deep, isn't it? Yeah. It's quite far back.
So 1430, she gets captured. She's 18 at this point. And then they are basically putting her on trial straight away. They ain't fucking about. They know what she's about.
I mean, let's say one thing for them. At least they've got like sort of a justice system. Yeah, I mean, going back 600 years ago.
Yeah,
you know, they're not just like going right. Let's get.
I'll tell you what. You know? I'm gonna leave it hanging there because there's a really nice little detail I didn't expect to happen in the 1400s, which did.
Okay.
I'm a little trailer there.
Ooh.
So
stick around.
She's been captured. She's gonna get put on trial, and I'll tell you what she gets put on trial for. She gets put on trial for blaspheming by wearing men's clothes, which is quite a strange. I thought blasphemy was
speaking against God.
Yeah, but it's for wearing men's clothes, which I guess is somewhere in the Bible. Women shouldn't wear men's clothes. I don't know.
Wow, there's a lot of blasphemy going on right now.
Yeah, true. So that was one charge. The other charge was acting upon visions that were demonic, even though it was saints that were supposedly visiting her, but they were demonic apparently. And refusing to submit her weirds. Oh my God.
I just respect the fact that they've got a justice system and they're not like, off with her head.
Oh, yes, wow. It's coming. Refusing to submit.
That's just ruined it.
Refusing to submit her words and deeds to the judgment of the church. So basically, she was saying, "I don't answer to the church or to the court. I answer to God, and I am this chosen person."
Right.
So she wouldn't submit.
She's saying she is Jesus.
I don't think she was saying she was Jesus. I think she was just saying like, no church or justice system is going to trial me because I am the chosen one.
I am.
Yeah. I don't think she thought she was the saviour of France, the virgin, prophesied virgin to save France. I don't think she thought she was Jesus. I thought she was just... I think she thought she was something along those lines, further down the line, to save France.
She was a biblical sort of...
Yeah.
I am biblical, baby.
Which, I mean, as she goes down and we look at now, she is...
well, yeah.
She is a patron saint.
Held that mystique.
Absolutely. So I'm going to leave it where she's just been captured for the trial. So tell me more about Mrs. T.
Right. I want you to do something.
What's that?
Can you get up some pictures of Maggie Thatcher in her 30s?
Maggie Thatcher in her 30s, not
in her 30s.
Margeret. I wish you told me this before. Is this going to excite me?
I don't know. I could be complete. I don't know what you're going to say to this.
Margaret Thatcher in her 30s. Images of Margaret Thatcher in her 30s. Okay, yeah, she's waving. She's waving.
You got a few up on Google Images. Man.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Look at her. Look at me.
Yeah, okay.
Do you think there's a slight similarity? Or
No.
is it just... Did you say no? Just no?
I don't think there's a slight similarity at all.
Nothing.
I think it's bang on.
Are you actually serious?
Exactly
I guess. Oh, right. So I was right.
It's not slight. No, it is.
Do you think you can see Margaret Thatcher's face in my face?
Yeah.
Exactly what I thought.
I'm going to start calling you Mrs. T.
This is mental, right? So what I'm saying, so I just thought when I was like doing my research and stuff like that, and I thought, is there a similarity? I think there's a bloody similarity. I think she looks a bit like me.
Yeah.
And this is the crazy thing to anyone listening to the podcast is we're both from Lincolnshire, so I think I have a common ancestor. I swear to God, if you go back,
maybe.
There might be some common ancestry there. I don't know.
Well, if you get famous through the podcast, you might be able to go on Who Do You Think You Are, and they'll find out.
Probably, maybe. And
we'll go down and find out.
Can you see it? Can you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I
think it's the nose that does it.
The nose, yeah.
I
just when I looked at it, I was like, and then all the people in the world. There's got to be some common ancestry there, I think.
Yeah.
Because
Grantham's not far away. It's
not
an hour away.
It's an hour away. I don't know. Go back several generations. Maybe we had common ancestors. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up since we're on one of the icons of history brought up. Maybe I've got a common lineage. I don't know.
Who knows? So
under Edward Heath's premiership, she was appointed Secretary of State for Education. So she's not Prime Minister at this point.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, this is where I believe where she made necessary cuts. She was a hard woman. She made the cuts, and she took the money away that gave free milk to the children.
Oh, okay. That was her, was it?
That was her. Do you know what she's called? You know the phrase?
No.
Thatcher the milk snatcher. Never heard that? He's never heard that?
I've not heard that one.
Thatcher the milk snatcher.
I mean, that's peak British humour right there.
Yeah, it was all over the news at the time.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine so.
So the Conservative government at this point was struggling with the trade unions. And this is the issue. The trade unions, it's like, who's in control of the country? The trade unions are holding the government to ransom.
Well, they probably ought to, because they're the power. They're the people.
But what happens when no one's getting the litter picked up, when the lighting starts going out, stuff like that?
Well, yeah, but they ought to be paid, compensated well for their work.
Okay, is that what you think?
Sounds like I'm on a job interview.
Interesting.
Is that the right answer? Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to go off a little side notes. I'm going to go my notes a little bit, but it's called the Winter of Discontent. Have you ever heard of that?
I have heard it, yeah, but I won't
basically where the country came to a standstill because the trade unions basically were just stopped striking so much because they wanted more and more and more.
Is that the 70s? Are we talking about 70s now?
Early 70s, I think. And and Margaret Thatcher always brought this point up as like, well, you vote for a government and you put them in power, but then the government can't do anything because the trade unions are like calling all shots and holding the government to ransom. Okay. So, what do you do? And that's why she went to war with them, I think.
I can get that because people who are elected by
who are trying to run the country, but they can't run the country because the trade unions are bloody saying no, we're not doing anything.
So politicians that are elected by the whole of the country have been held to ransom by trade unions a portion of the country. They're not elected, but they're a portion of the country as well. Okay, I get that.
Going to go on a little segue. Like in 1976, she made a speech where she went against the philosophies of the Soviet Union, and a paper in I think it was believed called the Red Star, gave her the name the Iron Lady.
Gave her the name.
Give her the name.
Do you mean gave her the name? Gave her the name.
That's what I meant.
Sorry to be that guy.
Give her the name. No, absolutely.
Gave her the name, the Iron Lady.
I'm on 3 beers, guys. 3 pints. Gave, I don't know. But they gave her the name the Iron Lady, and she loved it. Oh,
I bet. Yeah.
She loved it.
I bet. Well, no publicity is bad publicity, is it?
But I love that. The fact that, this phrase, the Iron Lady, it was the Soviet Union who gave it to her.
I mean, it's quite fitting from what we know now of her. Obviously, I've only got base knowledge, but she seems to be quite a robust figure. And what you've already said about her, basically saying exactly what she thought and doing and acting upon that, and the lady's not for turning and all that.
Yeah, the
Iron Lady is quite an apt sort of moniker, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, she's. I'll go back to it again. I know I've already said this. This is why I kind of, at one point in my life, I was very much in admiration of Margaret Thatcher, because I don't think there's enough characters like her in the world. People who actually...
I mean, a lot of people would be pleased about it.
Absolutely. But the thing is, these people that disagree with her, what we need more in this world are people with convictions and actually say what they think. Not people that say what they think they should say.
Yeah.
And that is 90% of the discourse of our society. Is people go out every single day to their jobs and go to work and go into politics or whatever, and they say what they think they should say.
Yeah,
it's very rare that you meet someone that goes actually from the bottom of the heart and speaks what they think they should speak.
It doesn't happen.
And guess what happens when you do that? You make enemies, but you also make things happen.
Yeah, you do.
And I think certain people are so strong, they will take it and they'll be like, I don't give a shit if I'm going to make some enemies because I'm going to do something. I'm not going to be one of these people in the middle ground that does nothing.
Well, I think a lot of people should be more accepting of other people and their opinions. I'm kind of one is I could still like someone and quite strongly disagree with their views or how they feel about a certain situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, you're quite a nice person, I quite like you, but I don't agree that how you feel about whatever the subject matter may be.
Yeah. I'm
not going to say too much because that's quite divisive as well.
No, I think we're getting to a very good point here, is that we all have to remember we're human beings at the end of the day.
We are, yeah.
And we're all good, generally good people. But when we start talking about these ideological debates is when arguments happen.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as soon as you start getting angry, you've lost.
Yeah.
You should be able to have a grown-up conversation, and you should be able to do... As soon as you start feeling yourself losing your... composure, then you need to step back and you've done something wrong.
So this is why... excuse me. This is what I don't like, is when people have to feel as though to get their point across, they have to shout and roar up and do whatever else. So, no, we can have an adult conversation. I can tell you why I think I'm right.
Absolutely.
And you can tell me why you disagree, or vice versa.
And conversations on politics often people get angry straight away, very quickly.
Yeah.
Can we not, like... This is the part of the problem where... How many people do you think in this world are friends, good friends, who one is politically on the left and one's politically on the right?
I wouldn't like to guess.
I don't think many. If anyone who's got an interest in politics, and that's kind of a sad thing. Like, surely you should be able to be a friend with a human being.
Yeah.
And have politically opposing ideas.
Oh yeah.
Like a friend. Do you know what I mean? Like, we should be able to play games.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chat about stuff.
I mean, there probably is, because there'll be a lot of people...
Very rare. I don't think I've ever met it. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Well, there'll be a lot of people who are a closet right or closet left, who probably don't realise that their best mate is completely opposing views because they don't really want to get involved in it. Yeah, there's a lot of submissive people out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
So tell me more about Maggie, because we're getting on the stream again. We're getting sidetracked once again. We always do. And I've found out, I've looked at it now, it's Nobody550 on YouTube who says he loves the streams. So hopefully he loves our political streams this episode.
I feel like, will he be giving this one a miss?
Well, we'll find out. If you're listening again, Nobody550, which sounds like a made-up name. Well, all names are made up. Just comment again, because it really cheered us up when we read that.
It really did. We loved it. I was like, I took a screenshot and I was like, look at that! My God, someone's listening. Right, the Falklands War happened.
Ah, okay.
So,
What I'm finding really interesting about doing this is there's a lot of bits of history that I've heard that I kind of know about. I mean, we were alive for the Falklands War, I think, weren't we? Was it 90s?
No, I don't think it was.
Oh, okay. Was it maybe 86 then?
Check it out. I think it was before I was born.
Falklands.
I should know that.
Falklands
Off the top of my head, I don't. I'm blaming
I
it on the 3 beers.
1982. Oh, yeah. It was a few years before we were born.
Good few years.
But there's a lot of bits of history where you kind of don't key them together. There's been... Yeah.
Maggie.
And Thatcher and the Falklands is something I've not ever put together.
So... Again, this is coming back to my admiration for her. She seemed to me to pass most tests. Like, I think at this point in history, when the Argentine government decided to attack the Falklands, honestly, I do believe that nearly any potential other prime minister would have bailed at this point. It would have been surrendered the Falklands.
Yeah.
Not Maggie Thatcher. She went, no, and launched an attack. Well, launched a defence, should I say?
Yeah.
And we're not going to go into this on the Comparison podcast. You can watch many good documentaries about the Falklands War. Margaret Thatcher was resolute in the fact that there was an aggressor on British territory, and that Britain at that point in time should defend that territory, and that the Falkland Islanders wanted to remain British. And she came to their defence. We won the war, and guess what happened? Margaret Thatcher's approval ratings went through the roof.
Oh, okay. So everyone's on board with that. They all want
Absolutely. Britain won a war. And I tell you what, the Labour government, they were calling a warmonger. They were calling... I mean, and I honestly do believe if it wasn't for Margaret Thatcher, that... I don't know how the butterfly effect would work and who might have been in Parliament at that time as Prime Minister, but I do believe that she was one of the few people that stood up. Again, I think one of Margaret Thatcher's heroes was Winston Churchill, and I guess she took a lot of inspiration from Winston Churchill at this point. And I think she just did the right thing. She was the right person at the right time to say no. We defend these islands, and it paid off.
Well, we would do for approval ratings went through the roof.
Yeah, but I don't think it was about that. I don't think she was doing it for political fucking reasons. I think she was doing it because she genuinely believed from the bottom of her heart that
that's where she was going with it.
This is the British territory and this should be defended.
That's fair enough. Right, Mrs. of Arc. I don't think that's her surname.
Mrs. of Arc.
Mrs. of Arc. So where I left her, she'd been captured and she's going on trial for blasphemy, for dressing as a man, which apparently is blasphemous. Heresy as well.
Heresy? What is heresy?
Heresy is the denial or doubt of core doctrine of the Christian faith.
God, that's vague, isn't it?
Well,
like a trumped up charge.
Yeah. What can we stick with?
Heresy.
So she's gone on. So heresy, blasphemy, which is quite funny because she actually was so devoted to the church. It was unreal. Acting upon the visions that were demonic, which again, apparently they were coming from God, and refusing to submit her words and deeds to the church. She claims she'll be judged by God alone. So she's gone on trial, and it was a SHIT show from the start. All this sort of mad stuff went on. They were basically trying to pin anything on it, and this was, if you remember, it was the Burgundians, who were French allies.
Yes, them guys.
So
them cool guys.
They wanted Joan out of the way. She's...
These guys sound alright, I think.
What, because they wanted Joan out of the way?
Pro-British. They gave her a trial. They didn't kill her. That's
that's true.
I think these guys are pretty cool.
So they wanted her out, even though she was starting to lose favour and everyone was losing faith, they wanted her out of the way. They did a lot of weird stuff as well. So she was made to wear women's clothes, and she's supposed... I mean, the justice system sounded quite good in the 15th century.
No, it does, doesn't it?
Compared to what you thought. She was supposed to be guard guarded by female guards because she was a female. That didn't happen. And they actually chucked male clothes back in the cell, so she dressed as a man again.
Come on, Joan.
Yeah.
Joan, come on. You're literally been tried for this thing. And you're doing it again.
Yeah. So they've chucked male clothes in, and then when questioned about it, she said, well, I'm being, guarded by men. I feel like I should be dressed as a man. So, yeah, she didn't help herself.
No.
Ultimately, she got found guilty of these crimes. She got burned at the stake.
Whoa.
Which was, spoiler alert,
didn't build out very much, did he, guys? Like, come on, just said it so casually. Doing this podcast,
no,
she's burned at the stake now?
She's burned at the stake, yeah. And she took her faith to the end. She wanted a cross to hold while she was being burned at the stake, and someone brought her a couple of sticks together, which was, to me, it was a bit sad. Like, this person's trying to free France, and someone just brings a couple of sticks tied together. So, but she's had that. So she's been executed. Long
gone. Quite a sad life, isn't it?
It is at 19 years old. So
she did quite well, and you're 9. So
yeah.
You've done really well, Joan. But because you're not keep doing well, we're gonna kill you now.
Well, no, she went out of favour at the court, but then she got captured. So she got captured by the English essentially, and they wanted her out of the way.
All right.
So at 19 years old,
by the guys that I like.
Yeah, exactly right. The French.
They've tried it the first
English.
time, and they were like, right. Yeah.
They've took her and then said, we're getting her out of the way. So she's gone, burnt to death at the stake because that's the only way to do it. My toxic mind here thinks back to this sort of thing, and actually it's probably the first time I thought it. Can you imagine me stood there? It was obviously in a public execution. Being stood there watching a body burning.
Yeah.
That would absolutely stink.
It would stink. I've just had a memory of when I was around my auntie's house when I was about maybe 12, 13 years old, and the cat's tail touched a candle. It fucking reeked.
Yes, it would.
It made an awful smell. A cat's tail on a candlelight. Oh, it stunk. So never mind a human body.
It would really stink.
Just a little bit of thought there was, I think in this 21st century is like we get to see awful things. Do you know what I mean? On our camera phones, through Twitter, and then things being shared. Those gruesome things. And I thought, and in my head, I think we live in an awful time where we can see these things. But actually, back through human history, it was more common to see. You'd go to your local square and you'd see beheadings, you'd see hangings, you would see people getting burnt at the stake. I've never literally seen anything like that. So it's crazy that actually, on so many parameters, that we're actually living in a much softer time. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But in our heads, sometimes we can get guilty of thinking that we're living in a harsher time, but we're not. We're really not.
No, not compared to stuff like that. I mean,
back in them days, it'd be common to see someone get, oh, come on, Jamie, it's Saturday, we're getting some beers and going to watch these fuckers get hanged.
Yeah, that's just the way it is.
That's how it would be, wasn't it?
That is just the way it was. So she's been burnt, she's been executed at the stake, she's taken her faith to the grave with her. Fair play. Her remains were thrown in the Seine River. Was it Seine River? Seine.
Seine.
S-E-I-N-E.
It's not the Thames, is it?
So you think that's pretty much the end of the story?
Dun, dun, dun.
Stay tuned for next time. No, that's not the end of her story. I've still got some more to say. But let's head back to Maggie. Once again, we're flip-flopping all over the place. Good. Let's go. You tell me about Maggie.
So, Maggie begins her big privatisation. She starts selling off these companies that the country's owned on a state value for a long time. And she believes in this idea of privatisation, which I get. It's like, take it off the government's hands. Make it profitable. Take it off the taxpayers' burden. And she sells off the British Telecom. She sells off oil. She sells off coal. And coal's the big one. I think it's like it's the one that's in the biggest deficit with the government. The government's not making any money on it, and she has this big strikes. That the police go hard on. It makes huge media coverage, and I think this is a part of. And she holds out. She just holds out. She's like, look, this is not making any money for the country. Let's privatise it. Our country economically is in a deficit, giving you jobs.
That was the big one. That's what
everyone knows for her. Yeah,
I say remember. I wasn't alive, but that's what I know the most.
That's why she's hated, I think.
Yeah,
because she there's livelihoods there, and you can understand it. There's livelihoods there that have gone away.
Right.
They don't understand.
Let me ask you a question. Right.
Go on.
If it cost you £2,000 a month to go to work to earn £1,200, would you go?
If it cost me £2,000 to go to work, so it puts me in an £800 deficit.
Yeah. Would you go to work?
No.
So then why should the mines be open?
Yeah. And this is my philosophy.
That's absolutely brutal to say because there is livelihoods on the line. I'm well aware of that.
I think I can't remember the actual figure. I do have it somewhere, and I can't remember it. But it's something crazy like the government was subsidising these coal mines by I think it was almost like $1 billion. Yeah, where we are. Coal industry, the nationalised coal industry was the highest subsidy from the government, and it was not profitable, and it was costing the taxpayers £1 billion. I guess that was per year.
And that was in the 80s?
And it was in the 80s.
So
these government... and it's in a very interesting time in the 80s where... And I think this is why Margaret Thatcher was essential, is like... We needed to wake up and go, look, this is not how the world is working. Yeah. Like, we this is nationalised, but we don't... Yeah, we need coal and stuff like that, but like... There's a better way to do it. Privatise it. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be bloodthirsty. It's going to destroy time-age traditions of people that have worked in this industry for years.
Yeah, but everything has to come to an end at some point.
But it has to come to an end, and that's what she did, and she had the balls to do it.
She had the balls to say it in front of y'all. She had the balls
to do it, and she took on. She became a hate figure because she had the balls. She had the balls to do what needed to be done.
But do you think if it wasn't her, it was going to be somebody else anyway?
Well, it would have happened in a different way. And I tell you what, if it was around these days, it would just be a fucking longer process because no one had the balls to do it. Yeah. Margaret Thatcher was like, "Fuck, no, it needs to be done."
Decisive, cutthroat.
Then she had to do with the IRA.
I mean, she had a lot. To be fair, like she had a lot going on.
She had a lot going on. She's done a war.
Yeah.
Right. She's a woman.
Yeah.
Who's become the first female in a Western democracy to lead a country.
Yeah.
She's had a war to contend with. She's had to economically alter a country, and now she's got militants in her own country that she's having to deal with an assassination attempt.
They tried to override it.
It was during a Conservative convention. She was in a hotel, and the IRA set up a bomb, and they tried to kill her, and they just missed her. They did kill somebody, or maybe 2 or 3 people. I'm not quite sure. She was just in the right place at the right time, and she avoided death. And when she was coming out the hotel, she gave a little speech, and she demanded that the convention will go on the next day. She was like, literally, people had died. Her friends had died. She was, and obviously all the media jumped to the hotel and they was out there. And she was coming out, and I watched it on YouTube, and she was like, "The convention will go on tomorrow." Like she's literally, and she got taken to the police station of the city she was in. Was it Brighton? I think it might have been Brighton. And again, this is my admiration for the lady. Like she was. She's literally like I've been stressed out recently about certain factors in my life, but like, she's literally had the IRA tried to kill her. Literally within the hour, she walks out the hotel and she looks at the media, the national media it will go on tomorrow. Like she's the Iron Lady.
She's the Iron Lady,
and she goes out and makes the speech the next day, and Yeah, I don't know. I understand people, like, we come from political differences and stuff like that.
So here's another comparison. People did kill Joan of Arc.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to kill Thatcher.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't succeed, so Thatcher's winning.
What we on, like? But we say we're on 1-1 right now. Because we said...
I think we're on about 1-1.
We said Joan did a lot more.
A lot more in a shorter amount of time, that was what we said.
I'm just going to sum up Margaret Thatcher's end of her career very quickly. Just that ideologically, she was on the exact same page as Ronald Reagan. If you know about Ronald Reagan, it's all the same. It's free markets, little government intervention, low taxes, strong and both strong agendas, and they became very connected. And it's almost, I think, where that solidified the idea of the special relationship between Britain and America. Which
it was her and Reagan. That...
It was okay. They were philosophical love hearts. I don't know what to say.
I'd already love birds.
Love birds.
I'd already assumed it was because of World War II and how America came in to sort of basically help out.
No, not really. I don't think
it's because it's because of them two. I mean, okay, makes a lot of sense. Special relationship.
Well, no, I think in fact, what you're saying is probably very true. Actually, we do have a very special relationship with the United States.
We used to own them, bitch.
Yeah, we've always got that one up on them, haven't we? Maybe, what's it called? It's called the... what's it called?
I don't know.
What's it called?
I don't know.
Where you fall in love with your captor.
Oh, Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah, so do you think the Americans, a very powerful nation, the only superpower in the world, where they have a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome with us, and then also that we know they're the most powerful, this kind of weird relationship we have, is like, it kind of benefits both.
Yeah, probably so. They've gone on to do much better things than their captors.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, but we was the superpower, and then they've been the superpower. But I think they're coming to the decline right now. I'm not going to lie.
Well, this is a whole other stream.
This is a whole other episode.
But there's the new one.
But I think we've had I think probably from I think almost a century. It's almost perfect. Is like from World War One to the end of World War One is where we realised the United States' great power to now, and it's almost getting debatable as like, are they the superpower where they once was? Can they have the conjecture of the world that they did? I don't think so anymore.
Well, there's the new there's a new group which is what is it called? Is it the BRICS? You heard BRICS?
What's that?
Brazil, Russia,
yep.
India, China, and South Africa. So instead of the EU,
yep,
these guys are called the BRICS.
Yeah.
And this is the new
it's another powerful entity.
Yeah. So instead of like the EU or America's obviously probably as big as the EU, isn't it? But it's called BRICS, and
well, I think that could potentially challenge this Anglo-American outlook of the global hegemony. I think this BRICS could
There's no potential about it. It's 100% going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got Brazil, which is a mammoth country.
Yeah.
Russia, obviously, we know how powerful they are. India, again, a lot of people, pretty powerful. China is arguably probably the most powerful country in the world right now. And South Africa, they're just tagging on for shits and gigs to make the anagram work. We could call it BRIC. It'd be better with an S.
Yeah.
Who should we bring?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it was good. That was great. I have read about them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went down the stream. You were summarising Thatcher.
Yeah, and Thatcher fell out of power because let me just end it with basically Thatcher was a very Eurosceptic, I believe, and at the point in the early 1990s. Most of the Conservative Party was feeling that we should start sort of leaning towards more Europe because the European Union was becoming more solidified, the Euro was becoming a concept, and it was the idea that Britain should probably lean more towards them. While Margaret Thatcher, as I've just described, she was very American-leaning. She had this relationship with Reagan. And basically the party fell out of love with her because they probably decided that she probably couldn't win I think it was a fourth term. Yeah, a fourth term. And so a party went against her. They decided that she couldn't win a fourth term, and they decided that she was such a Eurosceptic that it probably wasn't the right way to be in the early 90s. And
can you go on forever being a prime minister in the UK? It sounds silly because I live here.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think in America, there's two term. Yeah, in Britain, I believe you. There's no
maximum term.
Okay. I think kind of worms might open here. We live in one of the greatest democracies on planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty bloody fair.
It is really, the opposition always has...
The whole way it's set up is like how brutal our media is against our politicians. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love it. That's how it should be. That is a healthy democracy. When your media is absolutely vicious against your prime ministers and stuff like that, I think that is probably the most fundamental sign that you live in a healthy democracy.
The opposition always has a fair shout as well. They always get a fair representation. Well, it's probably the BBC. It's down to that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Right, the big reveal for Joan of Arc. I want this to be a live reaction.
You're waiting for me, are you?
So she's had a trial. She's put to death. She had her ashes scattered. She's had another trial.
What?
She had another trial.
Pardon? She's dead.
So she's dead. She died in 1431. In 1456, she had an appeal trial.
15 years later?
Yeah. So she's had an appeal trial. She got reinvestigated because of all the misdeeds in her original trial.
Do you know what I find funny is like we always think in the 21st century we're so technical and brilliant, but even back then, 600 years ago, they were still like, right, no, we need to do it again, guys.
Yeah. So because of all the stuff that I talked about with being past men's clothes and being guarded by men, they basically said, oh, this is a mistrial as such. She shouldn't have been sentenced to... There's always other thing that she should have been handed to the church rather than put straight to death and all this kind of thing.
Okay.
A lot of procedural errors. This is why there's so much...
Oh, like retrial, like, oh, no, this is not good. No, retrial.
This is why there's so much known about it, because there was 2 trials on this woman. There was 2 court trials for this woman, so there's so much documentation and stuff known about her. So, because a lot of the deceit, the procedural errors, her conviction was overturned. She was found not guilty.
What, original conviction?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, what would that be? 1431, 1956. Let me quickly work that out. How many years?
You said 19 again.
Later?
You said 19 again. In 14.
1431. What's that? 1456 minus 1431 is 25 years later, isn't it? Is that right?
Not even thinking at this point, mate.
No, I'm not even thinking. Hold on, let me just get my calculator.
Just enjoying the beer.
Hold on, 46 minus 14. Yeah, 25 years later. So 25 years later, she's found not guilty.
What I find interesting about that is that the judicial system in the 1400s was worthy of reinvestigating old matters.
But I mean, 25 years later, after someone's died or been executed,
they've had the effort, and because you always think, I don't know, let's go back 600 years. They're just bloody carnivores and just fucking barbarians. Yeah. No, they're not. No, they're really not. They're literally right. Let's reinvestigate this matter. Did she deserve that? Oh, let's have a retrial. She's not even alive, but
let's go for it.
What
anyway,
a beautiful judicial system they had in, is it northern France at the time?
Yeah. So she's found not guilty, which is kind of where her legacy really begins. Because then it's, hold on, this person, shoot.
This reignites the idea of Joan of Arc.
Yeah, this reignites the whole martyr narrative.
We sent someone to death. That should not be sent to death.
Yeah. So,
God, how bad are we as a society?
So this person has come along. She's saved France. She's died for the cause at 19 years old.
Right, I get it now.
And then, oh my God, can you imagine that 25-year period? It would have been a massive cloud of, oh, Joan was this, Joan was that. Then she's been acquitted of it all, actually, she was put to death because of political reasons.
There must have been some real fucking soul search and self-reflection in the idea of France, and just like, oh my God, what have we done?
Yeah, it would have been done. Yeah,
what have we done?
So in the 1800s, she got to be a saint of the Roman Catholic Church.
That's pure guilt, isn't it? Just there's pure guilt.
We murdered this woman 400 years ago. Let's make her a saint.
Absolutely.
But this is one of the reasons why quite a lot is known about her, and we've barely scratched the surface today, guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads more to know. Go and read up about it. It's pretty interesting stuff, actually. And it's not someone that I've actually known about all too much, but she's got a legacy that lives on. She's a saint, but she was a real person. She's done a lot for her country, and all being in a male-dominated environment. And this is where Thatcher is quite a nice comparison, because, okay, Joan of Arc was 500-600 years ago in a very male-dominated environment. When Thatcher came to power, Thatcher was doing her thing. It was also extremely male-dominated. I mean, realistically, if we talk about it, it's still male-dominated in 2023. Like, you get quite a few female MPs and stuff, but you would say it's predominantly. I mean, in the last probably 5 years, it's been more female than ever. But it's still, I think, quite over the last male dominated. I
think over the last 10 years, it's been like I heard someone once say that we had a female monarch for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, Theresa May had, what's her name? The one that was for 40 days.
Liz Truss.
Your favourite, Liz Truss. Do you know what I mean?
For the record, Your Honour, she's not my favourite.
I do think we live in a very great democracy in Britain. Like I said, I think it is very diverse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Liz Truss.
Oh, no.
Many of the front benchers are from Asian descent.
Like,
we have a prime minister called Rishi Sunak in Britain.
Yeah, I think race and sex is two different things completely.
It is two different things. Two different things. But what I'm saying is that
look at Margaret
we
Thatcher.
can celebrate the diversity that will in Britain. Yeah. I don't think we hold too many. People are prejudiced, but I think our democracy wins through where we put the right person for the job, and we can oversee. We can oversee any prejudice.
I think it's still quite male dominated.
Yeah.
Because you look, Liz Truss was the second female prime minister.
And so what, we're doing better than the United States though?
And the first one was in when did Thatcher end? The 1990s? Early 90s. Early 90s.
She basically did the whole 80s. So
30 years ago was the only other female MP.
I tell you what though.
You tell me what.
France, United States. I mean, all the democracies. I mean, there's a fair few. There's the New Zealand one, isn't there? What's the name? Ardern. Is it Ardern? Justine Ardern?
Something like that, yeah.
There's a few leaders out there that have...
Is the Canadian... No, the Canadian one's Justin Trudeau, and he's a very attractive guy.
Justin
Trudeau, something?
No.
Who's that? Is he French?
No, he's Justin...
Canadian Prime Minister.
I don't know his name.
Prime Minister. Justin
Trudeau.
Yeah, Justin Trudeau. That's what I said. I sort of said it.
Trudeau. I think it's Trudeau.
Very attractive guy.
Yeah, he's a handsome man.
He is. So...
Yeah, but I was talking... Is that how he's won democracy? Has he just... This is the fault of democracy, isn't it?
Well, because he's attractive.
He's just a handsome man. I tell you what, he is. I do not like this guy. I do not like this guy, right? Because I do not like this guy sat in front of me right now. No, this Trudeau guy. He's like, he's so terribly fucking left wing, and he's like the thing is, it's all about. Do you know what I was talking about earlier about there's no realness to what you're saying. It's just you're saying what you think you should say.
Yeah.
And then he got caught doing blackface and stuff like that.
Oh, did he? Oh,
Google it.
Didn't know that.
In the 90s and stuff like that.
This is going to be for after hours.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the end of this episode, but
If you want this juicy stuff, you come to the after hours.
We are starting to do after hours because
it's coming
that's just more for us. Yeah, we can feel it.
We've had this hard, long episode. I'll tell you what, guys. If you stuck around for this long, well done. Get to the after hours.
So in terms of comparison, Joan of Arc was badass because she got a king crowned by the time she was 19.
Thatcher was badass because she had bollocks and she actually said things and she did things.
Well, you know what? They both won wars.
And they both won a war.
I've just realised.
So this isn't the Who's the Better podcast, is it? It's the comparison podcast.
Yeah.
And I think we can both assume, assess, evaluate that these two were badass women. I wouldn't say bitches there, and I shouldn't say bitches. I mean, it doesn't have to be a derogatory term, does it?
No, it doesn't, no.
Okay, I'm going to say it, actually. Badass. These were badass bitches.
They were both pretty significant in their time. And the question I always ask you, so Joan of Arc was 592 years ago. Mm-hmm. Do you think Margaret Thatcher will be remembered in 592 years, Kieran?
That is a great question. And I do not think she'll be remembered because I think the human IQ and interest in actual general things will deteriorate and we'll be living in a mush society of information. So that's for that reason I don't think Margaret Thatcher will be remembered, but she should be remembered.
There we go. Have you got anything else?
All I've got to say is big up Margaret Thatcher. Very big controversial statement.
Big up.
We've probably lost half our fucking viewer basis on that statement.
I mean, going from one to half of one isn't it?
What's our guy?
Nobody 550 on YouTube.
God, I hope he loves Thatcher.
And he's got the O as a 0 as well, just to make it clear.
We'll be looking for your comment next week, mate.
Well, if you've listened this far, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to be back. We haven't decided on what episode 5
we haven't even discussed the people.
We haven't discussed it. We thought we were going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to discuss it in the after hours, where it's a much more relaxed thing where me and Kieran are just talking, and basically we love the sound of our own voices. So we're going to talk, and I think we're going to put out some options.
We might talk about the week.
Yeah. I'm actually going to bring some up to you in the after hours.
Oh,
so
yeah, I've been thinking about these kind of things as well.
Okay. We're going to bring some up.
I'm going to say something so random.
Right. Anyway, this has been episode 4. It was Margaret Thatcher versus Joan of Arc, both two stellar women from history. And I think we're on a draw again. I think they're both fantastic women.
Absolutely, I agree.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.